Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hayden Balgavy, and these are the top stories we are following for you now at noon. After storms and tornadoes Friday night, cleanup efforts continue. We'll check in with one community and see how they're coming together. Plus, Election Day is tomorrow, but analysts say be patient for possible races too close to call. We'll take a look at the races that could decide the balance of power in Congress. That's coming up in 8 minutes. And after mass layoffs at Twitter, they're changing course. What new changes are being made, and a check of other social media websites as well. But first, meteorologist Nathan Scott is joining us today. Nathan, I'm very glad we're not seeing anything like we saw on Friday night. Started out kind of drizzly this morning on my way to work, but I will happily take it.
Yeah, good afternoon, Hayden. It has been a dreary start to the new work week across the region. We've had some rain out there. Here's a satellite view, and you can see the deck of cloud cover locked in place across a large part of central Arkansas. More sun in northern parts of the state, and also a little bit of sun down to the south where it's 80 in El Dorado, but it's 68 here in the capital city, 65 in Hot Springs, and 67 in Mountain Home. Also on the humid side, look at the dew points. A lot of moisture down into South Arkansas. Drier air North Arkansas. We've got a frontal boundary draped right across the region, and that is producing still a few spotty showers and also some patchy drizzle. One lone shower moving through Malvern pretty close to Sheridan. That's lifting its way off to the north and northeast, and we'll continue to hang on to this chance of spotty showers or some drizzle through the course of your afternoon. Otherwise, expect a lot of clouds throughout the day. Those clouds stick around going into tonight. That's not the best news because we've got the total eclipse of the moon taking place, and I think it will be blocked for many of us. Highs today topping out into the mid to upper 60s with that small chance of rain. I got some big changes going into the rest of the work week and especially the weekend to talk about. More on that later.
Developing news this afternoon, a homicide investigation is underway in Little Rock at the West Side Creek Apartments off Sam Peck and Cantrell Road. Now, police have yet to release information about the victim or suspect. THV 11's Ashley Godwin was on the scene this morning and reports at least 17 shots were fired. We'll continue to update you with more information tonight at 5 and 6 and always online at thv11.com. Two University of Arkansas football players are due in court today to face disorderly conduct charges. Fayetteville police arrested freshman defensive back Anthony Brown after reportedly pushing a police officer during a disturbance late Saturday night. During Brown's arrest, police say Miles Slusher grabbed one of the officers trying to pull him away. Slusher has played in 22 games during his career at Arkansas. Brown has yet to play in his freshman season with the Razorbacks. University officials have yet to respond to requests for a comment. We told you last week Amber Waterman's charges were upgraded to murder in the death of Ashley Bush and her unborn child. A probable cause affidavit released Friday shows Amber reportedly admitted to her husband that she killed and kidnapped Ashley Bush. Now, investigators say she used a fake persona on Facebook to lure Ashley into a meeting. And now the coroner in Missouri is speaking out on the red flags that ultimately led to the arrest of the couple. Coroner William Goodwin says he was called to a report of a stillborn baby last Monday. He says Amber Waterman refused medical treatment. The baby was taken to a local funeral home where the Watermans arranged a service and even wanted to cremate the body. But on that same morning, the Benton County coroner reached out to request an autopsy. Now, Goodwin says Amber's reaction was a red flag.
She wanted to know why they were doing an autopsy, but then the tears kind of dried up, and her next question was, will there be DNA testing? And Daniel and I both looked at one another, and we knew that we had her at this point, that there was something definitely wrong.
The arrest record shows that on the day of the funeral, Amber admitted to her husband Jamie that she killed Ashley Bush. The couple then allegedly burned her dead body and moved it off the property. Ashley's body will be sent for an autopsy in Springfield, Missouri today. In a THV 11 update, one of the areas impacted the most from this past Friday's evening storms was Saline County. Pruitt, Sardis, and Fairview roads are among the hardest hit areas. Now, people in that East End community spend most of the weekend sorting through debris. Frederick Price has more on their cleanup efforts.
The people that I talk with in Saline County say that Friday night storms were short but fierce. You can see this tree that's uprooted. It actually landed on 2 vehicles that were parked in this homeowner's driveway. He's been cleaning up for most of the day, and that's what a lot of the community here in East End have been doing.
It's the most devastating thing I've seen around here in a long time.
Above Sardis Road, a clear visual of the intensity of Friday night's storm. The roof of this home blown off and a trail of debris left behind from an EF2 tornado. On the ground, a cleanup mission for those in harm's way.
I was listening to the weather in the Frady hole. Had no idea it was near this bad until we come out.
Larry Cossey's storm shelter is a couple miles from his property. He says when he returned home, the scattered metal and tree limbs were hard to digest.
I automatically assumed it was my house laying in the middle of the road and in the front yard.
The storm approaching so quickly, he had to leave his dogs behind when he and his wife headed to shelter. Utility crews and the people who live in East End now working to pick up what was blown away in every direction.
You can see the 2017 Nissan, it held up pretty good for that big a tree.
Remnants of Cossey's neighbor's shed are spread out in this field across the street. Other homes in the area also heavily damaged by this tornado. But after such a chaotic night, he tells me this community really stepped up.
Them neighbors were out in their t-shirts and their shorts and barely had shoes on, coming and check to make sure me and my wife was okay.
As he works to clear the damage and move forward, he can't help but think how things could have been much worse.
We're blessed. I'm telling you, very blessed.
Fortunately, no lives were lost, but the cleanup effort in this community will continue for the days to come. In Saline County, Frederick Price, THV 11 News.
THV 11 is your election central. We're just one day away from Election Day, and the candidates in the race for governor are crisscrossing the state to get out to vote. Now, Republican Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Democrat Chris Jones were both in Northwest Arkansas over the weekend. Both are pushing their messages in the final days of the campaign.
Let's send a clear, strong message that we are going to elect a strong conservative to lead our state, and I promise not to let them down.
My family has been in this state for over 200 years. And in this moment, we have a chance to do something that brings all our Kansas together.
Sanders says if she wins, education will be a top priority, along with safety and phasing out the state income tax. Jones continues to focus on his plan for expanding preschool to all families, affordable broadband for every home, and creating high-paying jobs.
People are just hungry for a new generation of leadership, somebody who's going to push back against the crazy, out-of-control federal government.
Vote for me is really a vote for community. It's a vote for all of us coming together in this moment.
Later today, Sanders has planned stops in Fort Smith and here in Little Rock. That's according to an email from her campaign. Jones is in South Arkansas today with stops including Lake Village, Monticello, Fordyce, Camden, El Dorado, and Magnolia. Now across the nation, candidates for hundreds of local, state, and federal offices are out today, making one last push for votes. Deborah Alfarone has the very latest from Washington, D.C.
This is it, the last full day of campaigning for Republican Mehmet Oz and Democrat John Fetterman in their razor-tight battle for a Senate seat in Pennsylvania.
Tuesday, it's all going to be, it's going to come down to every single vote.
We'll bring change to Washington so they treat us the way we deserve.
Former President Trump campaigned for Oz over the weekend, while President Biden and former President Obama offered their political star power to Fetterman. Hello. In Georgia, 2.5 million voters have already cast ballots, where Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and his Republican challenger Herschel Walker are locked in a dead heat. In the race for governor in Georgia, incumbent Brian Kemp has an edge in the polls over Democrat Stacey Abrams, who is seeking to become the first black female governor in U.S. history. If no candidate gets 50% of the vote tomorrow night, a runoff election would take place in December.
On Tuesday, there's a lot at stake nationwide. Every seat in the U.S. House is up for grabs, along with 35 Senate seats and 36 governorships.
That has voters coming out early. Already more than 40 million have cast their ballots.
We're expecting right now near record turnout, could hit around 120 million.
And with so many close races, election analysts are asking voters to be patient while the votes are being counted.
We have very complex ballots in the United States, multiple pages, dozens of races. Let them do their jobs. It might take a few days.
Election officials are also focused on security. They say safety is a primary goal at polling places across the country. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
And with the midterms here, many Americans are saying it's adding stress. Now, some experts refer to it as election stress disorder. Mayo Clinic psychiatrist Robert Bright says it's not an actual medical diagnosis, but experiencing high levels of stress and anxiety during election cycles can be real for some.
Difficulty getting to sleep or waking up early and not being able to let go of that. For some people, they experience it physically. They may have GI upset or headaches or just feel shaky, not be able to relax, not be able to concentrate.
A recent survey from the American Psychological Association shows 2/3 of adults say the current political climate is a significant source of stress in their lives. And a reminder, today is the final day of early voting, but one thing you need to know if you do plan to vote today, those early voting sites, they will close 1 hour earlier than the past 2 weeks. Now, early voting, those sites are currently open right now until 5 p.m. today in all 75 counties. Now, if you'd like a refresher on the issues and candidates, THV 11 has you covered. We have a comprehensive voter guide up right now on THV11.com, or you can just text the word VOTE to 501-376-1111. We will, of course, send you a link straight to your phone. And high school students are getting a class on cash. After the break, a look at new financial literacy programs starting around the country. Nathan?
And we got a lot of clouds out there for this Monday afternoon, but we will see more sunshine, warmer temperatures going to the middle part of the work week, and then a sharp cool down just in time for the weekend. Let you know how cold it's going to get coming up.